Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours.
Inside here, you get an insight and you know something, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Break down.
Welcome back, everybody, here to season 12 of Console Gaming League. And so far, it has been a phenomenal season, and we are neck deep into these playoffs. So much to the point where we are here with our losers semifinal matchup between Sublime and Yikes. One team going to get a spot in the losers finals, while the other is going to be sent home with the 4th place trophy, as we can see kind of listed up on here. And the journey between both of these teams, having jumped down to the losers bracket, especially Sublime, who has been competing for it ever since that second round, and kind of just looking between both of these teams. Clearly a lot of Map 5 history between them, and I will not forget to introduce you, Shadow Fang. But thank you so much for being here. And what do you make of this whole bracket between the teams of Sublime and Yikes?
It's been really competitive for both sides so far. As you mentioned, both of the teams have gone through several map fives. Both of these teams actually getting knocked down to this lower bracket by the Bonzi buddies, who also knocked down YSL for that matter, who is waiting for them to lose their finals. So this is just Bonzi buddies and everyone wanting to run the salty run back on Bonzi buddies, and that. So, yeah, we'll see who can get there to meet them for it. So tonight we're gonna have Sublime and Yikes, and let's get that roster out for Sublime.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look between these two rosters because none of these teams have particularly big rosters either. Both of them only having us like 6 players apiece, which if you have the comfortability, you have the flexibility, you know how to run your stuff. So we're kind of gonna look between these two rosters right now: Sublime, J-Man, Anhu, Aurora, Scylla, and then Angelic over here on Sublime. A pretty stacked lineup overall, but obviously Yikes, nothing to stifle at either, as we'll kind of shift over to them as well. Yikes will be rocking it right now with Manually, Slater, Cyber, Proda, and Jimical. Both of these teams have done phenomenal thus far this season. Yikes was undefeated in the regular season, and they kind of took that very first loss, just earlier this week. But looking to march back, looking to make their way into that losers finals. But I don't think Sublime wants to go down without a fight.
No, definitely not. And I just watched Yikes play in their last game against Inarizaki, and Manually and Slater in particular, really strong players. Slater constantly getting down really solid blizzards, and Manually taking over the map 5 on the Widowmaker on Watchpoint Gibraltar. It was a really, really strong performance from Yikes to finish that game out.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. I wish I would have fully witnessed that game myself, but we're going to be getting in here in just a little bit, making sure all the players are nice and ready to go before we get things going. But kind of talking about what our first map will eventually end up being, because it is going to be the pick of Yikes, because they did have the higher seed at the end of the regular season, so they do have the option displayed to them. So kind of curious what map they're going to end up going towards. Honestly, it's going to play a lot into their style. Like, we know that Lijiang Tower is like the map for a lot of teams, but when it becomes the map, it also leaves open the ability to kind of throw a curveball and go somewhere else besides it.
Well, last week Yikes picked Antarctic Peninsula as their first map, so I expect them to go that way again, because they were very, very dominant on that map, playing their Sigma compositions that they like to play. And in this map pool, I think that's probably the map that is least lends itself to Reinhardt, and the team of Sublime likes to play that Reinhardt comp.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Sigma comp working out really well, especially on 2 of those points. I believe Icebreaker is one of them that I'm thinking of, that kind of has like the awkward kind of high ground in the middle, where a lot of teams will try to rotate on top of. So I'm kind of curious if that ends up being their selection. Obviously, we don't know fully for a fact yet, as both teams are still settling together. I don't know. Like I've said before, and I'll keep kind of looping back to, for hopefully the next 5 maps, if we're lucky enough that this should be a pretty close match between these teams, and potentially a clash of styles as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And like I said, I saw it last week. Yikes went up 2-0 on Inarizaki, and Inarizaki was just wanting to play that Rhine comp just over and over and over again. And then they started to figure it out, and maps 3 and 4 went the way of Inarizaki, and then what do you do to a Rhine team? Well, you pick Watchpoint Gibraltar for map 5. So that's what happened. Watchpoint Gibraltar came out for map 5, and it was a first point hold. So, tale as old as time.
Yep, that's how it goes down. But we do have the first pick in from Yikes, bringing it on this map. And it's not going to be Lijiang. It's not going to be Antarctic Peninsula. No, we are going to be heading over to Oasis to start out this series. Now, Oasis, I kind of compared this map a little bit to something like Nepal. There are a couple of maps in there, or a couple rounds in there, that are going to be rather close range, where the Reinhardt comp could still be pretty good, but this does still allow a lot of poke as well, especially when you head over to a map like City Center, where there's a large high ground to play off of. Oh, I have been bamboozled.
I was going to point out Oasis isn't in the map pool, but I wanted to let you get your whole little spiel out.
Yeah, I have been bamboozled. That sucks. But hey, Antarctic Peninsula. I'm gonna let you talk about Antarctic Peninsula. You were right about the prediction. I'll let you have this one now that it's right.
All right. So basically, like I said, Yikes picked this map last week. It was a dominant 2-0, both like 100 to 0 points, because they probably just scrim this map a lot because they know other teams are going to pick that Lijiang Tower, so they want to have the map that people aren't picking in their back pocket to just pull out on people. That's my guess. That's what I would do if I was on a team like this. I would just have a map that people aren't playing as often in my back pocket. But like you said, the spacing on this map is really good. You can space out across the entire point. You could space out across the entire point and just create that poke distance between you and a Brawl or Reinhardt sort of composition. And I think that's why they tend to pick this map. Because if you're comparing it to Nepal or Ilios or Lijiang Tower, those ones I think lend themselves more to Reinhardt than this one does. So that's just my prediction.
No, I think you make a pretty good point about that, and I'm curious what we're kind of gonna, see from the side of Yikes here, as we're still kind of making sure that we, want to make sure everybody is set up, ready to go. So before we really get these underway, we are going to just go for a quick break, make sure these teams are nice and ready to go, make sure everybody is settled. But it'll hopefully only be a couple minutes, so make sure you stick around. This series going to get started very shortly.
Lots of love. Lots of love. Got lots of love.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here once again for the matchup between Sublime and Yikes, fighting to get into the losers finals to have that opportunity to potentially make it into the grand finals. Now, normally when I come back from a break, I would talk about the previous match we have experienced so far, but there's nothing we have experienced quite yet. But we are going to be getting into our first map, which we confirmed before the break to be Antarctic Peninsula. So going to jump in here in a moment and see what these teams want to try to pull out on a map like this.
Yeah, and I could be totally mistaken, but I think Sublime is going to opt for that Reinhardt composition. Fairly certain Yikes is going to opt for the Sigma. Okay, yeah. Sublime's going to opt for the Sigma as well. Okay, so we're going to have a mirror match going here.
Yeah, pretty much. They're just going to put Pro down the Baptiste. Yeah. The mirror matchup isn't too surprising. This is the comp that is, pretty dominant nowadays. We do see a lot of teams like kind of going over to the Sojourn and sometimes the Symmetra, as we see now, over that Bastion. So I'm wondering if manually it's just going to be TPing them out or if they're going to just TP out and switch to something else.
Yep, TPing out, going with the Sojourn. You can slide, get back with your team pretty quick.
Yep, definitely so. Both teams going to jockey for position on this high ground over here on the right side. Right now, both teams a little bit back and forth, but you are seeing Yikes take a little bit more of the high ground away. Going to knock Aurora off of the high ground for the time being. So Yikes, with the high ground in their hands, manually just hitting away on the left side, just trying to pressure out Angelic and J-Man, kind of try to keep them in that corner, which so far doing an excellent job of it as well, as the point is going to open up. Yikes trying to get control. J-Man going to find that pick, or J-Man going to go down on the pick, manually finding two of their own. That first cap going to come through now. The rest of Sublime trying to escape with their lives, but a nice shot from Manually, who's found a 4K of their own, and they want the full 5, but oh no. Anu, you're not getting out of there, bud.
Yeah, that was a great play by Manually to get those finishing blows. But look, Slater already 72% on this Blizzard. That is an insane lead on Blizzard. There is no way Sublime is going to see this Blizzard coming when it's about to, because Slater's going to build this Blizzard within this fight.
Yeah, honestly, and a lot of that actually came off of Aurora, because despite, actually, Jimiko finds Silka to be able to start out this fight right now, so already losing out a lot of healing, and that is not a good thing. That is not the person who just died right now, so, DC but death not to blame, but still, that's a tough little situation, especially when you just, you got the first pick in the fight. Now, going into it, regardless, I'm pretty sure the fight will have to even out. So, I know we only had 1.5 fights to go off of, but what do you think so far of the mirror between both these teams?
So, something I want to point out is that of all people to disappear right there, it was Slater who was on camera that disappeared. So that was probably the funniest part of that whole exchange. Slater also pretty much had Blizzard, so you're losing that ultimate now, and the big advantage that you had with it. So that's going to be really, really tough, because I think Slater's winning this 1v1 against this Sigma right here of Sublime.
Yeah, so far.
That is a big time change. And it looks like we're going back into the action.
Yeah, and that fight is, already just going to end as it already was before. Aurora had already lost part of their healing unit, so just decided to go off the cliff and make a quick exit for the next fight. 50% and counting, already set up for Yikes.
Yeah, it looks like we have a lot of ultimates coming out from both teams here. I kind of want to see Proto pop this window early before Sublime can react to it.
Yeah, we'll see right now. And hey, well, you've got the coach's book, don't you? As the rocket to come out, just gonna barely miss. But at the end of the day, Jimiko can be the only one to go down from it. But still, you eliminate that Lucio, you eliminate the speed potential. And now, Yikes are the ones on the back foot. Cypher does still have the flux if they want to try and commit to it, but right now it's a tough scenario. You might just want to try to hold on to ults, but Manually is actually going to be the one to commit. Yeah, found one of their own, looking for the second, as the beat going to be committed on top of that as well. They want to try to win this right here, and now the touch this point with 95% and counting. Yikes, gonna start up that first round with the 100-0.
That was a really nice flip by Yikes. They were able to retreat just long enough for Jimical to get back, pop that sound barrier, pop that gravitic flux, and pop that overclock and completely turn the fight in their favor. Yikes is doing a really good job of rotating, bending, but not breaking. And it's really difficult to finish a team off when they do that consistently.
Yep, make a fantastic point there, as we're not going to see anything change up from either of these teams at the moment, which, I don't blame either team for doing so, especially Yikes, who come away with that 100-0. So the big part of this is going to be the initial fight of taking over that high ground on the tap left side, especially with both of these teams still rocking that Mei, being able to wall each other off. That jockey position going to be very important to start out the second round.
Yeah, absolutely. Mei walls are always super crucial in a Mei matchup. And Slater so far has been getting the better of that. They've been doing a great job.
Yeah, we're going to see Slater actually get pretty low to start things out here, so Sublime going to have the opportunity to get the advantage here when it comes to positioning, but Aurora goes in kind of deep. The Immortality Field going to get forced out on both sides now, manually going to get ready over on the side of Sublime. But for the time being, they're just kind of shooting away from afar. Anhu going to be the first one to drop, though. Cyber just managing to find them out there, as we are going to see manually just sitting on the outside here, just shooting away little by little, just not getting any pressure right now. And eventually, Yikes going to lay claim to the point you start things out once again. Angelic going to escape with their lives.
Yeah, I mean, just a great kill box that Yikes is creating right now. And as a result of it, look, Proto is going to be so far ahead on this Amplification Matrix build that they're going to have it here momentarily.
Yeah, very much so, as right now they're going to have that, extremely shortly. But that wall going to end up cutting a couple people off, though. They are going to be able to break it to survive. They at least force out that Immortality Field, so that is somewhat of a plus for the time being. As it gets forced out on the other side, manually going to help get rid of Aurora, while the Amplification Matrix being brought in to do a ton more damage. Manually just has been a freaking unit so far this entire round so far. Angelic once again getting to escape with their lives, and while that's nice and all, they just aren't making any progress for trying to go in on the mirror against Yikes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Yikes being so ahead on this ult charge right now means you pretty much are going to have... You're going to be able to force this sound barrier with Blizzard or Gravitic Flux, honestly. Take your pick.
You literally have the pick of the litter. Slater going to bring in the freeze first. We're to see at least one member be caught up from Aurora. Going to actually invest the beat and the Amplification Matrix to be able to survive. But now there is no beat to be able to keep them up from the flux. Aurora going to be the first one to drop manually. Going to throw in the overclock on top of that as well. Another wipe for Yikes. Sublime being pushed back against their own spawn room.
Yeah, a little bit of overkill, I think, with that overclock, but, you got to send a message sometimes, That's what this is about. Sublime is going to have their Gravitic Flux, Blizzard, and overclock of their own, so Jimical needs to be masterful with the sound barrier to try and counter this.
Yep, they will have the ultimate advantage, but still, they have to make it work, as the Immortality Field does get forced early, but Aurora's in such a bad situation, in a really tough situation. Angelic managing to find one of their own. The Flux going to come out, managing to find Cypher Proto following directly after the fact. Sublime, they emptied the bank to do it, but they will finally start getting themselves some percentage on this point.
Yeah, and, you have to do it. It's last fight of this map, so you got to make sure you take it. Yikes gonna have their Amplification Matrix available, and that's gonna be it. So if Slater catches somebody with one of those stray Mei icicles through this Amplification Matrix, that could be the round.
Yeah, and likely just going to begin to push over on this left side, probably going to drop down and set up that window to be able to start giving themselves some ability. And right now, actually, they're going to drop over on the point instead, going to force members of Sublime to also drop down, as they're just going to set up the window, and they're going to be in free fire manually, going to manage to take out Aurora, Proto finding that final low. The window going to come out over on the side of Sublime as well, but there's just nobody left to fully play around it. You can see Anhu just trying to make the best of a bad situation, but Yikes, forcing Sublime to drop on to the point. They weren't prepared to go up against the window. Yikes, with a near dominant display, going to be starting up with the first map here in the series.
Yeah, absolutely dominant, like you said. And one of the things that I think is making Manually look so good with these railgun shots is the just residual damage coming through from the Mei and the Sigma. It's a lot of damage, and then if you have that railgun charge ready to go, you just boom, you can just free shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive overall. Clearly very comfortable on the Sigma style comp, especially manually over there on the Sojourn, and Slater as well on the Mei. You know, we had the unfortunate situation of with the DC earlier, with how quick they were going to eventually get that free. So it's impressive on all sides of the coin right now from Yikes. But it's only one map. It's not the end of things quite yet. There's still a grand opportunity to come back for Sublime. So that's what's going to come into play, as Hybrid's going to be our next map type. And now Sublime will have the distinction of picking this map, and it looks like the pick is in. With the second round pick, we are going to be going over to Numbani, which this is a map that is a little more favorable towards that poke and dive style. With kind of the meta is dive's kind of a little out of style, unfortunately. So likely going to see the Sigma matchup, but potentially different DPS with it instead.
Yeah, they could potentially opt for like the Bapalari style of support as well if they don't want to speed around the map. But I doubt that on this particular map. This feels like the type of map where you would want to be speeding around pretty consistently just because of all the space you have to cover.
Yeah, even like earlier today, I kind of saw like two different sides that were trying to run. Like one was trying to run a Diva style comp, the other was running like the London Spitfire, like Reinhardt Symmetra style, just moving around the map constantly. And both ended up working to their own sizable degrees. So again, a good chunk of it is going to come down to levels of comfortability and what they think is going to be the strongest comp that they can run. Not necessarily what is the strongest overall, but comfortability does play a big part for these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've seen, I should say, Yikes, very comfortable on this comp. Manually does a really good job of just taking a slight off angle and pressuring from there. I like this, though. I like this. Manually really strong on the hit scan pick. So what do? You bring out the Ashe. So and we are going with the Baptiste Iliari. So I like that, too. Okay. So they're opting for like a super bunkery style here.
Yeah, not a bad idea either. In sense, there's not going to be any kind of TPs and no kind of pedals to be able to get people up. So a lot of this is just going to be focused on a big poke battle. We'll see some rotations, obviously, onto high grounds and transition around, but it is just going to be a lot of 1v1s that are going to take place. The one I'm mostly excited for, though, is going to be between Anhu and Slater, both rocking that Echo. I think Widow 1v1, perhaps a little overhyped to me. I want to see the Echo 1v1.
Oh yeah, who can land the most sticky bombs on each other? That's who really diffs.
So we're going to see, for the time being, just looking to make the transition. Sublime going to focus on pushing over that high ground. Likely J-Man going to immediately kind of pull out the turret form here in a moment as soon as they go through. Going to pull it out, going to just force Yikes to kind of back out, open things up a little bit. That's exactly what Sublime wants when you have J-Man coming in on that Bastion right now. That, getting kind of low there. Thank goodness they had the immortality field, but it's not going to pay off for him this time around. J-Man and Angelic already down. Sublime just losing member one after another. The rest need to try and escape with their lives.
Yeah, I mean, so far, great sticky bomb usage by Slater. Again, look at this ult charge Slater's already got compared to Anhu. It is just insane. Already almost going to have this Echo copy. It's going to be the first ult on the board.
Yeah, it definitely should be. And what I want from Sublime here is they are trying to transition on this, this top area right now. But I really want you to try to send around more people this time around. You kind of see our rating. They're betting a couple people, and Anhu actually finds the first pick over Anju Slater. They're going to shut down that, so they're not going to have the copy for this fight anymore. So now it's a good position for Sublime to be able to potentially take this fight. Getting Cyber solo, eventually going to fall down, and with Proto dropping, I don't think Yikes is going to have the opportunity to touch this point once again. Sublime, with a decently fast take, they're going to have roughly, I believe, a little under 5 minutes in the time bank. Going to be pushing through point B.
Yeah, it looks like Slater possibly got a little bit greedy there. I wasn't entirely sure where that happened at, but it seemed like they might have got caught back out in the back line, potentially. Slater does have this copy, though, so are they going to opt for a Sigma copy, potentially?
There's a really good chance. A lot of people tend to go for that right now. Everyone see it come over. J-Man did actually come over on the Hanzo. Already down in this fight, though, with Slater. They had the copy for 1 second. It's gone the next, unfortunately. But Constellation Prize, you get rid of the pylon, so hey, you got something to your name. But Slater, unfortunately, going to be taken down by the sticky bombs. Anhu getting a little bit of revenge from the earlier deaths, so now Sublime in a really good position to get the spot moving further and further away. Yikes is trying to live with as many members as they possibly can, but Anhu in a decent position to help follow up on a kill. But actually, we're to see the investment over on the captain's side. It's going to find 2 different members. They're going to blow up together, but that immortality field going to keep both of them up. J-Man finding a pick of their own. You're going to see right now Proda eventually going down. Sublime going to keep taking away at percentage here, and right now they might just even be able to get a stagger pick over on the Cypher as well, and they will. They're buying themselves so much time and space.
Yeah, big time. Big time. I think there's going to just barely be a touch. Maybe if they keep 3 on, they'll be able to cap this. But
I don't think so.
It's going to be close. Yep, no touch, no touch, no touch.
Wow, 5 minutes.
We all know second point is a formality on Nubani, so it's okay.
Yeah, so 5 minutes in the bank for Sublime right now. A ton of time to work with, but, you know, Nubani third point, a very tough point to be able to break through, especially going through this first corner right now where you only have really 2 options. You can try to either invade through the high ground and try a re-rotation, or you try to brute your way through the center. Aurora gonna send down the Flux, gonna get rid of Cyber, but Giant Man drops before the fact as well, so things even up. But Anhu wants to bring the flavor back into their side right now, as you can kind of see a couple members over here on the side. The Captive Sun got invested, but Aurora managed to find another 2 of their own, finding more and more distance right now. 4 minutes still in the time bank, potentially only 1 fight away from capping with a huge time bank.
Great ult usage right there. J-Man is going to potentially have their dragons here momentarily, and it's going to be up to Cyber from the side of Yikes. I think they need to have a really big flux.
Yes, the Dragon's going to get invested, going to just try to get Cyber off into a weird position, but they're just going to use Flux, go over the side right now, going to hide away for the moment, as that ends up being a little bit of a formality now. You use it, you kind of had to. Slater, though, finding a 2K of their own, as they're actually going to be matching J-Man on that Hanzo as well. I believe they went to that a couple of fights ago, but look at that. Slater already has that Dragon nice and ready to go for this next point, and same thing with Proda, once again, having another Captive Sun.
Yeah, and then for the side of Sublime, they're going to have an amplification matrix, which could potentially build up Aurora to this gravitic flux. You know, it's a lot of ult charge you could be getting with those double damage hyperspheres.
Yep. So we're going to see them all grouped together as 5 before they decide to touch again. All they really have is Salo right now, having that window ready to go. But Yikes, likely, I would imagine they're going to either send the Dragon straight down through the high ground right there, or Proda potentially going for the Captive Sun, but you can't do that while you're in the spawn room. While Slater is going to throw away that Dragon to try to find some receipts right now, but while it does split them for a moment, it's not going to help take anybody out. So right now, Sublime, they have this opportunity within their hands. Finding Manling, a good first step to be able to try and make this happen. Aurora gonna bring Cypher up into the air, eventually taking them out. That should be a team wipe right there. Yikes now in desperation mode to try to touch this point.
They should have a pretty easy touch with manually having Bob available.
That Bob's gone. And now it's just Cyber on the point on the Doomfist, getting rocked away, and that window comes up, but not in time to end up doing anything. We see the Captive Sun in the back. Proda has found 3 of their own! When this fight should have been done and over with, Proda decided, let me put this fight on my back. 2 minutes in the time bank. Yikes managed to hold on.
That's such a good support hero, don't you think? Like,
highly balanced.
Truly. Great ult though. Great ult though. You catch them all retreating like that, you only have to hit 1 shot and all 3 of them just blow up. Like, that's beautiful. So is that.
Ooh. Yeah, that fight's done and over with now. And remember, we were talking about it earlier. That 5-minute time bank going in, well, we're just down to 1.5 minutes, which realistically, with where the position's at, is going to lead to maybe like 2 more strong fights for Sublime. They were in such a good position a little bit ago, and now things are looking a little bit dangerous for them here. But, you know, Angelic does have their own Captive Sun as well, so there is the chance to send it back, make some magic happen. So for the time being, just kind of waiting around and waiting for the right setup, it looks like.
Yeah, they Sublime kind of needs to just catch an early pick here, and then they're going to have 4 more ultimates to win this fight out with. So I imagine this Dragon will come out here momentarily.
Yep, just waiting over here on the side, trying to see where everyone is at. Going to try to get rid of that pylon to start things out here. Angelic going to help it and do so right now as we're going to see the Bob come out from Anhu right away. J-Man going to send it in the Dragon to try to find some purchase. Slater actually ends up getting caught for it near the end there. Manually going to end up being hit with that. That is the one that Sublime was looking for 4 minutes ago. But the important part, they still finish the map. They do it with 43 seconds on the clock. All things considered, a pretty good push for Sublime here. And, yeah, ends up being a pretty good push for them overall. So, Yikes now have to respond.
Yeah, really important that Yikes held them under a minute, too, because now they'll be able to, even if they finish the map with 0 time, they'll bump them up to a minute at the very least. So all you have to do if you're Yikes, you just have to think about finishing the map. Just finish the map. Doesn't matter with how much time, just finish it.
Yep. You don't have the time to worry about the extra rounds. You have to worry about what is here in front of you. The extra rounds don't happen unless you make it all the way. So from looking with what both teams are running, I don't think very much is going to change up. The only thing we really saw change up was the DPS between Slater and J-Man. They usually ended up kind of matching each other at some point, which is it's really fun to see. You know, someone switches to a different DPS, they kill you. It's like, oh, I'll play that DPS instead, and they just kept matching back and forth and back and forth. It's really entertaining to see. So Sublime gonna have Anhu back out over on the Echo again. J-Man gonna be starting out on the Ashe, so likely going to be setting up little kill boxes between Anhu and J-Man, just trying to catch people in a position to burn them away and send Siggies at them, hopefully trying to burn them out within one fell swoop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Yikes is just doing a little spawn room trolling. I imagine they're going to continue on the same thing.
Do it.
Or they
Do
might,
it.
Or they might opt for the dive.
Oh, Cyber, I love you. I just need you to know this right now. Thank you for running the Winston.
Well, here we go. Let's see how this manages to do here. As soon as you can take the pylon out, I think Sublime is very diveable. It's just hard to take that pylon down.
Yeah, I think that's why it's going to help to have Slater and Proto in this situation where the Echo and the Yana can hit from pretty far range. So as soon as they spot where it's at, they should be able to take it out. But right now, it is in a very weird position, as we kind of saw a moment ago, sitting directly next to Angelic. It's going to be really hard for anybody to reset. Slater might be the only person that can really go for it. But for the time being, just going to be poking away little by little, setting up a dive, just trying to force out some resources before they hit the full commit button. You know, not too worried about the time right now. You know exactly where that pylon is right now. Now they know, and now it's out right now, so now you lose that lead of extra healing. So this is going to be the prime opportunity for Yikes to be able to get into this fight. Just looking to get up to their full health before they commit to a big dive. But Slater dying, that's so unfortunate. And now, as your Yikes, you're just going to have to back out now. You're not going to be able to commit with your Echo. And just like that, a minute is already burned off this clock.
Yeah, I think Yikes were just trying to build up to their nano boost before they really made a play there. Now they have the nano boost, but it's going to just be a little bit of a delayed push due to that death.
Yeah, but, you know, having that nano now, still a good thing. Still plenty of time on that clock. The only thing is, though, that pylon did get set back. I'm at the same position, so back to having that little stronghold in that top left corner for the time being. But here comes that nano going up above. Gonna try to go for the Baptiste, who unfortunately doesn't make it back on top. The immaturity field have to be used to be able to keep them alive, but Handu manages to find the first pick, and J-Man helps out, taking out Cypher in the process. This dive is currently not working out for Yikes. The nano was good, but unfortunately not able to find anybody with it.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage and healing to try and work through. Even if you're nanoed with the Winston, it's still just a lot of damage to try and work through. Yikes is going to have their Pulse Bomb, Copy, and Primal Rage available, but Sublime is going to have basically 4 ultimates left. They only used Copy in that last fight, so it's going to be a tough push to try and break through this.
Yep, minute 30 on the clock right now. That Pulse and that Copy ready to go. Cyber has the get out of jail free card, which they have to use so quickly, as well as a Flux going to come online as Proto has found the first pick of their own Slater with a nice follow-up as well. Gonna have to use the Copy just to make sure they stay alive. Fully Angelic over here in the corner, as eventually that Guy Bob is in a nice little comfortable cubby in there right now, but it's not gonna find much purchase for them. Eventually gonna burn away at Aurora. Yikes, taking a little bit more time than Sublime did on their original attack, but now it is gonna work off for Yikes. They're gonna have 3.5 minutes going into this next push, but the really important part, which we have brought up a couple times already with this team, they empty the bank to be able to win the fight.
Yep, definitely worth it. And they looks like manually is going to opt to swap to that Sojourn, which you can still play the dive. And okay, Slater opting for the Tracer, so a Sojourn Tracer setup. Okay, I like this. I like this. Sublime going to have their Captive Sun available, and I think it's going to be tough to get value out of it into that comp.
Yeah, Slater going to be the first casualty for the side of Yikes. So weird situation for them for the time being, but they still have a good way to set up. They can just back out, keep the last 4 members of them alive, but that's going to be really tough for your Jimical, who is just in a really bad position over there on the side. Cyber trying to get out of there, trying to stay alive, but with both of your supports dead, that's just not going to happen. DPS now in a weird position, and manually is kind of just staggering themselves out a little bit at this point. Unfortunate, but you do have a very close spawn, so it's not as damaging as it could have been. Slater, Genji now?
You're looking for a little Nano Blade action?
Probably.
Can we get a Nano Blade going here?
I wouldn't be surprised if Slater gets the Nano right out the gate here, even without the blade.
No, never. This Nano's probably going to Cyber.
Okay. Yep, gonna dive directly in, gonna put a lot of pressure. Aurora actually ended up getting naded, but is being kept up. The Immortality Field helping out in doing so. The pylon on top of that, really helping them stay alive. Cyber, though, trying to follow up with a dive of their own. Still not finding anything. Slater gonna be the first one to drop on top of that. Already 60% to their own ultimate, which is fantastic, but right now, Yikes is having such a hard time pushing past this corner because this is what happens when you get like settled in as a Sigma comp. It's so hard to break through it. Yikes, just have to regroup here, have to make something work as they're coming up to a heck of a lot of ultimates right now.
Yeah, I think Aurora is about to be massive with this Gravitic Flux. Just going to catch at least a couple of people with it.
Ooh. Yeah, and they're going to get aggressive with the Kitsune Rush right now. Cyber getting very close, but both supports in a heck of a lot of trouble. Proto being the first one to drop. Jimical directly after the fact. Aurora just trying to survive in the back line. Luckily, the help of the support's going to keep them up as Cyber ended up investing into that. Oh no, they invest in the Primal Rage, so right now, they're not going to be able to escape with their lives. I imagine this is going to dedicate a comp switch now. I imagine Cypher just wants to go over to that Sigma now instead, because the Winston is just not working. Yep,
makes perfect sense. Yikes is going to have both their DPS ults available. Manually having this overclock could be massive because we've seen how nasty they are on that hero.
Yeah, manually dies early. Unfortunately, the supports weren't back yet, so not able to keep them alive. So now this is going to end up being final fight territory here in a moment for Yikes. And I don't know. It's a tough situation. You're really going to hope manually or Slater manage to bring this fight forward. Because right now, Sublime have a lot of really powerful ults to work with. And here we go with that Blade. Coming through, looking for the slash. They've managed to stay alive for the time being. Looking for the slash. Slater getting so low. Wants to try to take Aurora with them. Aurora getting so low right now. Just trying to survive. And in fact, Anu goes over on the Sigma as well to frontline for Aurora for the time being. Ends up working out phenomenally with 10 seconds. Draining away slowly but surely manually. With the only one with an already on the side of Yikes. Proto getting close to their own window right now as manually has to come alive for this team right now. Going to try to get aggressive. Look for somebody in the back. I'm getting a couple people very low, but still haven't found the necessary pick for the win. But that pick on Dacilla might be the right pick that they need. Aurora trying to survive over here in the breaches on the right side, but J-Man finding the 2K of their own. Only manually and Proto left to survive on the point, but right now they're proving to themselves right now that they can keep this push going, that they can win this right now with Aurora coming back around the corner with that rock ready to go. The Flux going on top, going to find manually. The Immortality Field has to be big, but there's no Immortality Field, but they didn't survive anyway. Yikes have brought this fight back from the brink of nothingness, and they're going to find the cap onto point B.
I mean, that was just kind of an insane recovery from Yikes. I don't even know where that came from. I don't know what just happened.
Your guess is as good as mine at this point.
Yeah, but hey, here comes that point back though from earlier though, that 43-second time bank. It's important that that's under a minute now because all Yikes has to do finish this map out.
Yeah, but for the time being, Sublime end up using that window. I didn't even see where it ended up being used either, so I don't know. It obviously was useful to some degree because who's going to find that first pick on the Jimical right now. Yikes is in this weird position now where they probably just need to try to back up before they lose anybody else, especially Cyber, who gets really low right now, using all their abilities to try to keep them alive. Looks like they are going to do so, and Yikes going to have a lot of ultimates coming up for the next fight. Like that.
Yeah, that'll force you some space for sure, for sure. I think next Cyber's probably going to opt for this Flux.
Ooh. Yeah, and it's going to catch Aurora for the moment. Gets very low, and actually they're going to end up taking out both of them on whom going to try to die on this point salt for as long as they can. And this is the fight right here. This is the fight that is going to mean the difference between us going to extra rounds and Sublime tying up the series.
All right, manually, here you go. This is your moment. You got that overclock ready.
Yep, here they go. Manually have to be the savior right now for Yikes. It's going to be sent out right now over on the side. We're going to see Aurora going on first, but J-Man gives a little bit of revenge right now as we see Angelic over on the sideline just trying to pop away at that Iliadi as the beat is going to come online. The freeze on top of it, though. Anhu, as long as they can stay alive, they can help find these picks. J-Man helping with 2 of those final blows. You can see Proto just trying to live on the point for as long as they can. Make a miracle happen, but Sublime at the final hour managed to stop Yikes, and they're going to tie up the series, bringing it to 1 apiece.
You love to see it when the teams win their map picks. So there you go. That's why they picked that Numbani map. They like the Iliari comp better than the Lucio comp, so it makes total sense.
Yeah, they ended up staying pretty comfortable on it overall, and I kind of understand why it wasn't ran on the first map, because some people might question, like, oh, you know, they should have ran this, they're clearly better on it. It's a different map, it's a different kind of environment. Antarctic Peninsula is a lot about rotations, being fast. Numbani is more about holding your position on high grounds, bunkering down. It's way more efficient to run the Iliadi instead of something like a Lucio.
Yeah, most definitely. But we're going to be going to our first break right now, so we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and we'll figure out what map number 3 is going to be.
Yeah. 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 Memories. Memories.
Welcome back, everybody. Here we are giving to you the lower semifinals of the Season 12 NAPC Open Bracket. And so far, it's been a heck of a display of both of these teams, as, you know, we had a pretty dominant display from Yikes to start us out and Antarctic Peninsula. But on Nubani, Sublime manages to bring it back, you know, running their Baptiste Idioti comp. So it ends up working well for them to be able to tie out the series. But of course, next up, we have everybody's favorite map type, Flashpoint, which I want you to take a little bit of a guess. Out of the two Flashpoint maps that exist, Shadowfang, which one do you think was selected here today?
It's most likely going to be Saravasa, just because people like that map better.
Yeah, they apparently do. And guess what?
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. You win nothing except you get to cast Saravasa. So, you know, that's your prize. But it's not a bad thing at all. It is a beautiful map. It is where the Sigma comp is still extremely popular. And obviously, as you've already hinted to, very beautiful map. So, you know, getting in here in a minute. So I'll keep it real. Are you expecting anything different than like the Sigma Lucio style comps?
No, I believe they're going to run the Sigma Bap Lucio, and they're going to opt for the same compositions that we saw on Antarctic Peninsula. I think it's going to be the May Sojourn comps on this map. So be watching for the Sojourns and what off angles they're taking, and if they're dueling, or if one catches the other one off guard. I think that's going to be really important. That was what was really the difference in the first map, was just manually taking those off angles consistently.
Yeah, we've definitely seen like a kind of a trend right now where, you know, Sublime seems to like prefer this kind of bunker down style, while Yikes seems a little more comfortable running these quick comps with the Lucio. So, you know, Flashpoint in general kind of plays into Yikes' hands, but this is why we're curious to see if Sublime wants to try to pull something out instead. But like we've already kind of alluded to, that Sigma Lucio Sojourn style is definitely king here, in Sublime looks like they're going to play to the map strengths.
Yeah, like I said, makes perfect sense. The exact same comps we saw map 1. So the two biggest things with this comp, I think, are the May walls and the off-angling Sojourn players. I think that's going to, because whoever opens up the first pick is usually going to steamroll that into a fight win for their team.
Yep, definitely going to see that duel between J-Man and Manually, both of which have had, you know, decently good games so far. Manually definitely put on a heck of a display back on Antarctic Peninsula, being on that Sojourn, but J-Man in their own right has had quite a few good moments themselves, especially looking back on Nubani. So both these teams going to be rallying for position to start things out here. We're going to see a slight advantage of Sublime making it to that point first, but the aggression coming in tight right now. The nice healing onto Slater to make sure they stay up after being rocked away. So both teams just trying to hold on to the position that they have currently grabbed. You kind of see Sublime being forced back little by little as the fight keeps going on, and Aurora dropping off is actually going to be massive, so Yikes might be able to get away with taking this point for free, and they are going to do so. So good for them to kind of hold on to this. This means they can play a little bit more defensively now, just try to keep working up towards those ultimates. Proto already at 60% on their own, but Scylla actually pretty up high themselves as well, 70%. A lot of back and forth as they go for the wall up right now, trying to catch Aurora with it, but it's Cyber who's in a lick of danger right now. The immortality field could be brought up just to try to keep them alive, getting desperately low, but Proto doing a fantastic job of keeping everybody out, as the window is going to be invested by Sublime, more than going to secure them the point right here, as the rest of Yikes picking a little delay, one by one.
Yeah, you got to be happy, though, if you're Yikes. Look at this stagger. This is disgusting. This is gross. This is hideous. Look at this.
Yeah, oh no, that's the really late kill on the Proto. Sublime is just going to keep pushing them back. Going to try to find another pick if they can. Slater's so absolutely low, but they are going to escape with their lives. And they're actually just going to wall off the others and get Cyber. So now, Yikes doesn't have the pleasure of being able to run two different fights. It's going to come down to this fight right here. So Sublime, this aggression really paying off from them.
Yeah, that was a great play by Sublime. You gave up the 43%, so how do you make up for that? Let's just touch the spawn doors real quick. Get ourselves a solid 73% before they even get a fight in. Great play by Sublime. I think this Gravitic Flux... Oh my goodness, there's so many ultimates here. I don't know what way this is about to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a Q-fest right now, as we're likely to see that beat come through. Actually, going to hold on to it for the moment. Jimical leaves it kind of late, and Cyber doesn't get caught onto it because of that. That wall going to separate them, as the point is going to go to Sublime here for our first map. We'll be heading into our next one, but not before Manually's going to find themselves in the spawn room. Jimical, the only person to survive, and that's still a maybe right now.
Ooh, J-Man almost getting that stagger pick out. I thought that was about to go their way there. But only having to burn the Blizzard and the Gravitic Flux is really good because you're still sitting 3 ultimates if you're Sublime. So J-Man could be massive with this overclock.
Yeah, the Flux going to come out looking for that rock, nearly finds it, just slithering it over that little pillar right there. Still not going to find anything, but it does force out the Immortality Field. J-Man did not really find any receipts either. So right now, Sublime kind of throwing in a couple more ultimates, and in fact, the window as well. Scylla is going to manage to find Proto to start things out here. Sublime, while they don't start with the point, Yikes not really in a position to hold on to it either. You don't have the window, you don't have the Immortality Field, and you certainly don't have the May Wall. So right now, you're just going to see Yikes hold on to a point for as long as it can, get every ticket percentage possible. 22, definitely not anything to really scoff at, but still, it's a lot less than what you would have liked.
Yeah, and Sublime is still going to have their sound barrier available as well, which is huge because all Yikes has are their 2 DPS ultimates. You can time the sound barrier right, you could potentially counter both of these ultimates. It could be an insane play, and that would lead right into Aurora getting this Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, that's a really good wall as well. Aurora getting the first one caught out here. Now, a really good opportunity for Yikes to be able to bring this back. The question is, are we going to see the investment from Angelic? They do have that beat, but luckily not going to have to invest anything. So, same as we saw before, it's just going to be a stall coming through for Sublime, trying to get as much as they possibly can. And with 64, 65, going to get up to 67, which should be enough for one fight territory for Sublime, just barely. But now Yikes have a lot of ultimates for this fight, because guess what? They didn't use a single thing to take away that point.
That was just a great wall from Slater, forcing Aurora out and then just turning the whole fight on its head because of that. But this is gonna be a Q fest, as you like to call it, because there are a lot of ults on the board here.
Yep, and that Freeze is going to be the one to start us out here. Slater looking for that wall, going to try to cut out Aurora, but it ends up playing over in Sublime's favor. No longer have that wall to work with, and now, where'd that question, once again, does Yikes go for the full commitment here, or do they just try to get to 99% and then commit on the final fight? Looks like the answer is going to be given to us manually. Going to use that window to the best of their ability. Aurora going to find the first pick, though, as manually just trying to find something on the board to bring this fight back. But now there is the flip back into Sublime's favor. 72% and counting. If anybody gets picked here, that would be terrible, as this Flux is going to come up. Manually is caught on the side. They're going to go down. And the beat's infested. They're going to go fully into this fight. And in fact, Jimmical going to try to force their way onto the point, looping back around, just playing a little merry-go-round right now, trying to make it back. But with 98, 99, they're not going to make it back. Sublime claim the point up to map point right now, 2-0. Yikes. It's in the name. Yikes. I wish they would have just decided to retreat and hold on to that beat.
Yeah, that was a really tough play to see. Sublime, both teams basically burnt all their ultimates, and they're gonna basically meet at the point. You want to see Cyber's got to get a big time Gravitic Flux off here. You want to see this fight win go the way of Yikes, just to give them that first cap.
Yeah, definitely so. Sublime going to be jockeying for position on the point to start things out here, and they are going to have J-Man ready with that overclock ready to go. Cyber, though, does have that Flux, and it's going to be invested directly onto J-Man. That's a little personal right there, but the Immortality Field going to keep them alive for the time being. As Sublime going to start with that opening cap, and J-Man going to look for some revenge right now, but Anhu manages to steal away that first blow, but J-Man still out here looking for blood, manages to take down manually, getting the other members extremely low right now. Proto Slater not too far behind right now. Sublime are absolutely feeling themselves here, despite this not even being their map pick. Oh no. This is just devastating right now, Shadowfang, I'm gonna be honest.
Ooh, those are some killer stagger picks, but to be fair, Surabasa is the King's Row of Flashpoint right now, so this is everybody's map pick.
It's nice to see New Queen Street, not New Queen Street, New Junk City once in a while. In fact, it's good to see both of those maps. But, Suravasa could be coming to an end with this next fight, 75% and counting. The window going to come out early, and it's going to force Yikes to take a different rotation over here on the side. But J-Man going to find manually once again. For the manual that started out so good on that very first map, J-Man just working on shutting them down, but Proto evening things back up here, 96% and counting. They have to be able to commit to a touch on this point. Cyber going to be the one to do it. This is still going back and forth. The Flux is not going to be broken away. Cyber going down Slater, the one trying to bring this point back right now, but it's just Jimmical on the point now, trying to survive long enough for somebody else to come back. Manually, it is their time to try and shine, but with the beat going on top of that, it's going to be impossible to drain anybody right now. Aurora gonna try to stop the beat from coming through, but so far, Yikes managing to keep themselves alive temporarily, but with Manually going off the ledge, that's going to end it right then and there. Sublime up 2-1 in the series on match point, and they take Yikes' map pick and shove it right back in their face.
Oh, truer statements have never been said before. Sublime really waking up after that first map, Antarctic Peninsula. They've just really figured out how to play against Yikes right now. I wonder where Yikes is gonna try and go with this next push map to try and, at this point you need to try and halt that momentum, because once the momentum gets going one team's way, it's really, really hard to break it.
Yeah, and this is kind of where the question comes in, is where, some teams do tend to have a comp that they have in their pocket that they'll pull up that isn't typically all that traditional. Like, for some teams, it's like a Ramatra style comp. Some teams, it's a weird Doom style comp. Like, I've definitely seen that over the last few weeks between a couple of different teams. So it's definitely possible. And if you were going to run something that I think is a little weird, I would probably go over to a map kind of like Esperanza, where, the Sigma is still a pretty viable character overall, but I think that's the map that's going to give you the most leniency when it comes to running something out of pocket.
I think you're mentioning the map earlier. You meant New Junk City, but I think it's going to be New Queen Street.
Wow.
New Queen Street is that off-the-wall map usually. People so rarely tend to pick it, and when they do pick it, they want to play some sort of just straight-up rush-style composition. I think if Yikes was going to opt for something different, they would pick New Queen Street.
Yeah, well, I've lost my bet. I have a bit of a gambling addiction, apparently, but I keep losing, so that's why it's a problem. We are going to New Queen Street for our fourth map. Again, going to be the pick of Yikes, and this is where it's all on the line for them. One more map loss, and they're going to be out of the tournament, taking that fourth place spot. That's not what you want. You don't want to make it this far. After having an undefeated regular season, this is not how you want to go out.
No, definitely not. And Yikes, I really think Yikes is going to continue to opt for the same Sigma composition with the May and the Sojourn. I don't think they're going to change anything up. If they change anything up, they'll change to like an Orisa potentially. But I really do just see them continuing with the same composition and just trying to play it better.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is the change we kind of saw from Sublime on this third map back at Saravasa was their level of aggression. Like, compared to the first map when we saw them, where Yikes literally rolled over, rolled over Sublime. Like, Sublime just played passively, they got walled off, they didn't try to take aggressive space. But after that third point right there, after we just saw in Saravasa, it's the complete opposite. They were the ones being aggressive. They were the ones taking the aggressive walls, the aggressive space, and they made that map their own. So Yikes, they have to go back to that that form that we saw all the way back on Antarctic Peninsula if they want to have any shot at dominating this map.
Yeah, and perhaps this is that push map that they put in their back pocket. I know at least when I played in CGL, this was always my team's push map that we would have in our back pocket, because no one ever picked this map. So we were like, okay, we'll pick this map. We'll be the team that plays this map.
Yeah, I could definitely feel that there. Never got to play many push maps as in matches of mine, but still, I can show some appreciation for a map like New Queen Street, which obviously based off of Toronto, a very beautiful map. I did have some coffee this morning. I'm kind of feeling some coffee right now. Do you want to go get some coffee after this? Tom Beanson's looking like it's open right now. The first in line.
I like Tim Hortons better. I'm gonna go there.
Yikes!
What if they're like right next door to each other?
They're perfect. But yeah, nothing different for either of these teams. This is what they want to commit to, which isn't a bad thing either. Manually, as we've already seen earlier, very proficient on that Sojourn, but J-Man kind of just came alive on Saravasa and kept shutting them down, so this is kind of Manually's redemption arc, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whatever team wins fight number 1 on a push map is just it's gonna be a big time lead and advantage for them. So look, you see manually taking this off angle as they have been all series. You want to see them get an early pick if they're gonna be doing this.
Yeah, but you're seeing a little bit of a difference right now because you're going to see J-Man over on the side kind of pot-shining away right now. Slater, a nice wall to be able to cut off Aurora, but that's a nice knockdown onto the low ground, and it's going to be a pretty decent trade overall, but it is going to be playing into the favor of Yikes to start things out here after Aurora being taken out by the boop. Cyber, though, managed to find a pick of their own, still alive, like really in a bad situation, but the support's luckily going to come into favor of Yikes. Going to be taking that first fight here, going to start racking up some meterage.
Yeah, and manually, like I said, they managed to take that off ankle, get the first pick in that fight, and that kind of just sets them up for success. Anhu having a massive ult advantage on Slater, though, but manually is also going to be way up on those overclock charts. There's no way Sublime's ready for overclock.
Yep. Aurora just going to be like kind of stalling away at that high ground right now. Going to stop Yikes from getting any more percentage, so it gives plenty of time for the rest of Sublime to get in the position they want to get into for the coming fight. And right now, just also kind of hoping to build a little bit away at these ults, because Proto already has that window ready to go, and Silka is still 20% away from their own, so Yikes have a grand opportunity to open up this fight and create a massive disadvantage for Sublime this early into it, so here we go. Window out, going to start things out here. Mortality Field to make sure that everybody stays alive. Everybody's just going to zone this out for the time being right now. And in fact, the overclock going to come through manually. Is just in the backline in a 2v2 scenario, but it's going to get booped off the side. So now it's a 4v4 scenario with Crota trying to keep this team alive for the time being. Gonna back up a little bit. So unfortunate in that situation as Yikes is now being driven into a corner. And in fact, the freeze is going to be committed on top of that. I'm not sure if I agree with that decision, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the side of Yikes, you're happy to see the Blizzard come out because now you have your sound barrier for the Gravitic Flux. You know, you don't have to use it for the Blizzard. You'll be able to just fully counter that flux that comes out. And Angelic's going to have to decide whether they're going to counter the Blizzard or the Gravitic Flux from Yikes.
Yeah, and honestly, if they end up using both, then you have to kind of make that choice then and there. You can just use one directly after the fact, after the B has already been used. So we're going to see here in a moment right now, Slater going to commit that. It's going to be a fantastic wall to get Aurora off. Your Mortality Field going to keep them alive. The B going to come through, barely going to keep Aurora up. But it's so much damage being burned through. Cyber going to be taken out. Angelic falling directly after the fact. Yikes, they play that perfectly. They let Slater use the freeze, eventually going to force out the beat, and as soon as that beat started to generate away, the Fox comes on top, gets rid of 2. Yikes, securing themselves a nice fight win there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Yikes is actually going to get checkpoint off of this, too. Unless Sublime just goes in really fast here.
I think they can stop it if they really want to, which they are going to. We're going to see Yikes just get it a little bit of the way and just back off for the time being. No need to invest quite yet. Just back off, play for the mid-fight. Oh boy. That's not good. J-Man's trying to invest here. The V can go down on top of it. They can run down J-Man if they want to. Slater, though, has found a 2K of their own. Make that a 3. Cyber helping out with it, finding one of their own. And now they're going to unlock themselves that checkpoint. Going to be up 56 meters now. Make it 57. Why not? Yikes. Having a fantastic display so far. Really psyching these ults perfectly as well.
Yeah, you'll definitely take that trade if you're the side of Yikes. Aurora with the Flux, okay.
Yeah, and that wall, well, you know, good wall at the end of the day. The window going to be brought out on both sides now, but Slater manages to find the hit onto Scylla to be able to bring things back for them. So Yikes, going to get even more meterage in this fight, as it's just going to be really difficult for Sublime to push into this right now. They have no more ultimates. Anhu is getting close to that freeze, but the way this comp works, the only person you're going to realistically catch in it is going to be Cyber, at least in a situation where they could be very vulnerable. So now Sublime going to try to push this, getting it up to 82 meters at the moment, investing the freeze, but Aurora decided they wanted to stack, so they ate away that freeze. It's going to be thrown directly back. Slater going to be caught now, taking out Sublime, making this fight their own now. They're going to take this back over. The rest of Yikes need to try to die quickly so that everybody gets the good spawn.
Yeah, great job dying on point there by manually. You pretty much guarantee everyone's going to get a good spawn off of that. And there are going to be a lot of ults on the board for the side of Yikes. I imagine Cyber's going to come in very early with this Gravitic Flux, knowing that there is a sound barrier, but you can still force it, so manually has a good overclock.
Yep, and here it goes. That's actually a pretty good wall as well to be able to force them away. The feet going to actually get held onto. They just relied on the Mortality Field. I imagine Angelic's going to pull up the beat now, mainly trying to get aggressive, but they got a little too aggressive in a weird situation, so very low to the point where the Immortality Field has to be forced out. But Sublime finding Jimmicle ends up being a pretty good scenario for them. So now you lose that speed, you lose that ability to get away. So now Yikes, best case scenario, die at this point, buy yourself a little bit of time. So now Yikes, they lose that fight, but they really don't force anything out outside of the beat. So Sublime, now they're the ones with the really good ult rotation.
Yeah, and with this being the case, you really want to make sure you take this fight convincingly if you're Sublime.
What the?
Oh, J-Man popping the overclock.
They're up super aggressively. They use 2 ultimates all the way up here. They just want to try to secure this cap right here and now. So we're actually going to see Jimmicle make their way out here. I'm unsure what they're going to try to accomplish right now. Just going to be taken out, Cypher as well. So that's just going to be the checkpoint for them. I don't know if you were just trying to buy more time, but I don't know. I'm not going to judge it, you know. You still have 1 fight to be able to stop Sublime, and they used quite a bit to kind of hold them that close.
Yeah, they are still going to have the Gravitic Flux and the Blizzard available, though, on the side of Sublime. And we saw what that was able to do in previous fights. So it's going to take a lot from Jimmicle and Proto to keep their team up through the Blizzard and Gravitic Flux.
Yep, we're seeing who ends up firing first right now. Slater has their own freeze online ready to go, and Anhu over on the side. They're going to be ready for this anytime. The Flux going to come up directly onto Cyber to be able to start things out here, but Aurora manages to make their way onto the high ground. I don't think Proto knew what hit them as they're getting knocked down. The freeze going to come out temporarily, but nobody going down quite yet manually. Going to be the first one to find a pick onto J-Man. Aurora being knocked off the high ground by Jimmicle. In fact, Jimmicle, they want the sauce. They're coming in to try to help and take care of Aurora right now. The Mortality Field going to be used just to ensure that they stay up for the time being. A lot of damage just being pumped into them and not enough healing to be able to keep them down in that situation. Eventually, the rest of the members of Sublime being wiped away. Yikes, being able to stop them 11 meters short. Gonna be able to bring this back over to the side of Sublime.
Fantastic response from Yikes. Sublime had all those ultimates up, and you were still able to prevent them from getting ahead of you on the push. That's just fantastic.
Ooh. And they get here just in time to be able to stall that out as well. So now they have them held here in this position. That wall wasn't able to stop it either, but finally they're going to be let free. Sublime getting close to both of those support ultimates. Angelic, they could get aggressive with the beat, but now J-Man going to be down. It's going to be a really rough scenario for them to be able to try and stay alive. Angelic, especially right now, as we're to try to see them survive. The Flux going to come out with the window on top of it as well. Cyber going to try to make sure they stay alive, make sure they stay within a good position, because right now, Manually has this fight on their backs with this overclock ready to go. You no longer have a window to deal with. J-Man's getting close to their own, but now is your opportunity manually. The wall going to come out, force them away temporarily. The window going to be used back on their side, as it ends up being a decent trade-out overall, but J-Man trying to deliver back right now. J-Man is the one that comes out with the necessary pick. Cyber just going to be dying out on this point with Jimmicle right now. So Yikes, not able to make it happen, and Jimmicle actually in a really bad position to be caught out. I don't think Jimmicle is going to get the good spawn.
Oh, it's going to be close.
Oh my god, they're not.
Nope, they didn't get it. They got the bad spawn. It's okay, though. They're Lucio. They can do a fancy rollout and get there quick.
Yeah, but now manually you can't drop. You cannot drop manually. They get extremely low, and now Anhu going to have this Flux ready to go. The beat going to be used, and now the freeze likely to go on top of it, but for the time being, manually going to invest, finding a 2K of their own. They want to find the third. They want the sauce. In fact, they want to go for J-Man first, trying to take them out. Slater helps them in doing so. Sublime losing that fight. They will get the close spawns, but that time is rapidly running out with less than a minute remaining.
I want to point out that Manually forced an Ajax right there. Fantastic overclock from Manually. Just, gotta put that on there for everybody. We got dueling Blizzards here with no support ultimates available. I think whoever goes first might be the person who gets the better one. Oh, all right then.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Jimmicle was just trying to boop away Aurora to be able to stop them from stalling out at this point, but ends up paying dearly. Anhu dropping, though, does even that out for the time being. So now it's in a really weird situation where you no longer have the one ult, but Syla finding that first pick onto Manually ends up being a pretty good investment right now as Slater trying to find somebody with the freeze, and in fact, it's Syla that ends up getting caught in it right now. Things evening back up This is the fight right now. They want to try to bring us to map 5, make this happen, and get rid of J-Man is a great way to do so. You see Angelic on the point, trying to make something happen with the freeze, the Flux trying to find some kind of receipts, Aurora just trying to survive for as long as they possibly can, Cyber getting hit one after another, but there's not enough damage to be able to keep them up, and with that, Sublime not able to close things out here, and who would have guessed the teams that have done 2 map 5s so far in the last couple matches go to a map 5 here. Truly, I am just shocked.
That is a absolutely crazy thing that we've just witnessed. You know, this should just be called. They should just call this bracket map 5 because that's just all that happens in this bracket.
But you know, it ends up being pretty exciting. So yeah, both these teams obviously very familiar with going to map 5, and I don't know, man. I don't know what to say here. Like, I can't say I didn't expect this to happen. I know we both kind of talked about it between breaks about how both these teams have gone to map 5s, how it's very likely. So, you know, hey, neither of them are strangers to this this situation. But this time around, though, both these teams having their tournament opportunity on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I honestly don't know what's going to happen with this next map, but we will find out right after we get back from this 5-minute break.
I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
Got lots of love. Love. 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 Lots of love. Love.
Welcome back, everybody here, and what a wonderful time is going to be between Sublime and Yikes. These teams have brought us once again to Map 5. This is the bracket of Map 5. We just can't stop experiencing it so far, and both of these teams so far have had just dominant performances across the board. But with that last matchup right now, we are going to see Yikes tie it up. So Sublime is going to be the one bringing in our final map pick here, which we are going to be heading over to good old Watchpoint Gibraltar, a map that is, up until recent time, it is a very dive-centric map. But unfortunately, with the Sigma meta the way it is, it's a style where you can still run a very poke-heavy comp. And while I would love to see some Winston or some Diva, there's a really good chance that we're just going to be seeing a big commitment to poke.
I'm predicting that they're going to walk out on Winston Mirrors, and we're going to be seeing a Widowmaker battle. In the last series, Yikes played Map 5, Map Gibraltar, manually took over on the Widowmaker, so I think Yikes is definitely going to want to play that again. And Yikes is opting to attack first, so let's just get a look once we get into this map on what the teams decide they're going to play. I'm predicting dive though.
Well, I genuinely hope so, and that's what I'm really excited to see right now, because we have seen the battle between J-Man and Manually throughout this entire series so far, and it's been, a lot of back and forth. Manually really had the edge early on, especially back on Antarctic Peninsula, but J-Man, back on the they killed it a little bit over back on Surabasa, and especially as we had, we just witnessed over on Push. So now we are going to see Manually starting out on that Widowmaker. J-Man, though, going to be committing onto the Ashe instead. So we're going to kind of wonder how long it might take for J-Man to potentially match that Widow instead of sticking with this Hatch, which, mind you, it is still a really good pick, the Ashe, but it's way more difficult to go up against a Widow as an Ashe, when instead you can just mirror it directly back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like the Baptiste Brig pick from Sublime. That's going to be insanely difficult for Cyber to do anything on. I'm sure we've all seen the Aspen clip on this map. You can literally just boop Winston on a loop with Brigida off of this high ground.
Yep, but they're going to try to push this high ground here in a second. Just try to force Aurora back into the corner to start things out. Cyber got sent directly back off the edge, though, so right now just going to try to hold on to this high ground, rally for this little bit of positioning, and just get a little bit of card push as far as they possibly can. So Manually playing over there on the far side. Angelic kind of knows. They have the critical information, it seems, so going to just hide away for the time being, as we saw Aurora literally walked all the way through just to be able to pressure Manually. And now Manually in a really tough position here directly below the point. Not where you want to be as a Widowmaker. But for the time being, no casualties right now. Anhu trying to take that 1v1 down below, getting low. And in fact, they're going to get a little help from Cyber right now, finding that first pick to start things out here. Manually still surviving despite being in a couple of really tough scenarios already. The rest of Sublime just trying to stay alive, set up for a next touch, but J-Man dropping, Aurora finally after the fact. Yikes in a really good position so far on this initial attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great dives to start with, and it looks like Sublime is going to opt to mirror that dive. Okay.
They're going to commit too. They're going to just drop down. Aurora's going to be able to have the first drop on this point. Likely have to instantly commit the bubble, but we're actually going to see for the moment Anhu going to get on that point temporarily. Aurora had to wait a moment after getting antied, as we're to see already Cyber having that Primal Rage online, getting slept away. But Aurora's the one that is truly in danger right now, as the cap slowly going to be coming through. You know, it's working out really well for them. 5 minutes and counting so far. For Yikes, a very fast take over there on point A, and right now, they're forcing Sublime to play their own game.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're looking at Yikes right now, they're getting pretty close to a Nano Blade, which could be something serious going into this back line of Sublime.
Yeah, that's absolutely scary, but you know, we have seen Syla already hit a couple of really good sleeps throughout this entire series. I would not be surprised if they end up hitting one again, but it's definitely one you have to hit. And, you know, manually dropping, though, that does manage to slow the bleeding here a little bit. You take away a very heavy angle that you could have had with that Widowmaker. So Sublime, for the time being, can do a slight push-up right now, trying to find it, but Slater actually got nanoed and actually managed to find the slash. That's a good sleeve from Syla, but unfortunately, it's going to be too little too late with Anhu trying to bring this back for the time being. Aurora desperately low, going to opt to actually not end up using the Primal Rage to stay alive. We're just going to see the stall out from Anhu for as long as they possibly can. Sublime should be able to set up for one more touch on point B.
Yeah, great ult usage from the side of Yikes, and I think Manuel's probably going to pop this in for sight here pretty soon, and it's going to be really easy to just kind of, you know, prevent this push from the side of Sublime.
Yeah, Aurora's just gonna have to commit almost like immediately with the Primal Rage to be able to survive, but that ends up going really well for them actually. And they actually only end up really committing the dragons. So we have a fight going on in the background currently, but it is just sitting heavily within the favor of Sublime. We're kind of just letting the Yana stay up there a little bit. Eventually gonna let them drop out. A nice little stagger on top of that. Ends up working out really well. Now Sublime, this is their opportunity to commit to a really hard setup here, because second point, once you get set up as a defender, it's a lot easier to hold on to, and Yikes are going to have a heck of a time trying to break through this now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Scylla having this nano boost available. Aurora, okay.
Ooh. Yeah, that fight's already done and dusted. That's a little unfortunate, you know. Aurora manages to cut off manually, and they end up using the Primal Rage after the fact, so bright side, you do force that out, you know, you don't have to pulse anymore either. It's decent enough for Yikes, but so far, that's just taking an extra, 30 seconds off of that clock, and right now, they're still not super close to that Nano Blade either.
Yeah, definitely not close on Yikes' side. Scylla, I think this Nano Monkey is going to come through and do a little cleaving, though.
Yeah, but there's a lot of healing right there. The Ana and the Brig are together, so Aurora in a really tough situation, just not going to be able to live. And with the 2K from manually and the way Sublime's remaining members are up top just trying to survive, I can't imagine they're going to be able to hold on to this point. Angelic, the last remaining survivor, Anhu, committing a little bit of stall. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get out of here alive, as Yikes eventually going to take it. Going to have roughly 3.5 minutes in that time bank for their push onto the third point. So far, a really nice display. And the most terrifying fact of all, Shadow, they have the Nano Blade.
Yeah, like you said, the Nano Blade is up and available, and Sublime does not have anything for it outside of Scylla needing to land a crazy sleep, which could happen. They did sleep the last one, after all.
Yep, definitely a possibility. The only problem is that did too much damage before the sleep ended up coming through. So now, you know Protoss looking for it already. They're just waiting for the right time to be able to move in. The anti-though gonna stop these for a moment. We're gonna see them coming on J-Man. They find the 1/, looking for the second. No sleep available for them that time around. Angelic just trying to escape with their lives on him. Committing a little bit of stall on the point. Slater needs to take this climbing 101 class. They eventually pass it, so 2.5 minutes on the clock. Still going to have 3 ultimates for this next coming fight. Sublime in a rough spot right now.
Yeah, Sublime doesn't have too much available. You're probably going to see this dragon just come out onto point from J-Man, so that could prevent a little bit of push.
Yep. Oh, that's a devastating nade onto Syla, but they do manage to stay up for the time being, and they got off the point! Oh, no. There's no way that just happened. All 5 members still alive, and they don't get to hold on to the point. That is devastating for Sublime.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really solid team play from Yikes pushing this point out right now. I can't even point out one particular thing that's causing these fights to flip in Yikes' favor. It just like point two, Aurora overextended by just a hair, and you get to win the whole fight with no ult usage. So it's just like it's huge. That is absolutely massive, and that's how you end up with a 2-minute 19-second time bank on Gibraltar.
Yep, and now Sublime in this weird scenario where they can't really force a whole lot back at Yikes. You kind of have to play into this dive game a little bit. You can try to poke if you want to, but it's just going to be so difficult to play into, so you just have to try to copy it back here a little bit. But maybe... Oh, are Sublime going to cook a little bit? There's no way they come out on the pharmacy, right? Certainly not with manually on the hit scan, right?
I suppose we'll see momentarily.
Okay. So they're just going to be TPing the supports across over into that top left high ground, just going to take stake there while they kind of will just set up dives and just station there. So, good idea. You know what? I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, I do love the sim TP plays on this map. Even something that simple, it's really nice.
Yep, J-Man over on the Echo as well. Another target in the air that manually will be able to shoot away at. So J-Man is going to have to play a little bit of elusiveness right now. Play around the high grounds, play around these corners on the high grounds. That's what they're going to have to do to be able to have impact within this fight. And we'll see that commitment on the initial dive right now. Cyber are going to be able to stop it for the time being, but they are going to get slept. So this does kind of create an opportunity to commit to a second dive, and Cyber going to bring it up. And after that nade right there, could be really tough to keep them alive, but luckily, Silent and Angelic able to find each other once again. So, Yikes still able to, do some things nice here. They're managing to stall out this car for a really long time, especially with Slater just sitting on top of it. Slater, though, having to recall. And with that nade, it's Aurora getting so low, not going to be able to escape. That dive going to be dead for Sublime. The rest of the members just had to focus on surviving.
Yeah, and I mean, just a big time nade land from the side of Proto onto Aurora, and just the follow up from the team to get that kill is just big time, honestly.
Yep. Nade gonna be coming directly through once again. It does find a couple members, but nobody going down quite yet. A lot of low members, but they just don't have that dedication on the one person to be able to bring them down. And Aurora missing that jump could end up being very fatal right now in the corner. Eventually gonna try to find the Mega, but the Mega was taken. So they aren't going to be able to stay up. That dive, once again, going to come to an end right now. Anhu trying to escape with their lives after being naded. And again, this is kind of the story that we're seeing. The longer that fight goes on, the more it's paying off for Yikes, where manually it's just doing a fantastic job keeping J-Man out of the skies and keeping them from being super aggressive.
Yeah, and both teams are going to be walking through with a lot of ults, and Anhu does not get anything out of that pulse bomb, but that happens,
Yep, a little devastating, but, Slater doesn't get it either. So, a decent trade at the end of the day. Gonna throw in the nano onto Angelic, and Angelic actually gets a nano and the rally of their own. So really gonna make sure you stay alive. It's gonna be really hard to try to take on a rally nano, but you know what's even worse? Having to run into it right now, trying to get rid of them right now, as Proto eventually going to be taken down. We're seeing a very heavy commitment from Yikes here, or from Sublime here, but it's what you need to do. So with this last pick onto Cyber, I imagine Sublime should be able to capture this first point without any more issues.
Yeah, great ante from the side of Scylla, great nano from Scylla as well. Just really smart support play overall from the side of Sublime to really secure that point.
Yep, and now we're going to see manually. It's going to have that Bob up online for this next fight, but they did get kind of taken out very late there. Aurora going to be able to survive for the time being, so Yikes just kind of have to group together for the time being. Going to have a lot of good ultimates for this next fight, especially that Bob and the Primal Rage, which are both really good for being able to stall out a point. So J-Man going to go in for his commitment manually, literally a sliver of health, but they managed to live for the time being right now. Just gonna have to get some healing before they can recommit to that fight, and that's the commitment we're gonna see. A nice little juggling up in the air. Angelic going to be the first one to fall. Yikes, gonna try to find Scylla. They managed to find them in the process as well. Sublime, so far, getting shut down directly on that. We see a nice investment with only the Primal Rage, and Sublime, to their own credit, coming up to a couple pretty powerful ults of their own. But Yikes, this is now their time to have a very solidified defense here on the second point.
Yeah, absolutely. You're probably going to see Slater go pretty early with this pulse bomb, try and catch out one of the supports. Like that.
Yeah, that was a little bit of damage, but not the full 200 that they were hoping for. So Anhu is playing a little bit of Minecraft, going underground, going to try to hide away for the time being. And actually, it's manually that's hidden away for the time being as well. Oh no, I don't think they know yet. They're going to come out. The bomb going to be activated onto Angelic, but they're going to manage to get back to Scylla for the time being able to survive right now for the time being. But it's Sublime that's coming away the winners of this fight thus far. Probably 2 picks off their own. Slater managing to give one back. But right now, it's just a messy fight. There's a good chance they win this fight. But with J-Man so low, you don't have Angelic to be able to help keep you up. In fact, both supports are down right now. So J-Man just has to kind of back out here and look for that mega health pack. And in fact, they're just going to have to copy just to be able to stay alive, to be able to stay in this fight. They're committing a lot here to try to win. J-Man, though, proving that they have their own proficiency on that Tracer, going for the pulse. And while they do miss it, they definitely have done some damage to this team. They nearly had a second as well. And the commits coming down. The pulse, though, from Anhu is absolutely beautiful. Gonna help secure them with 3 minutes left in the time bank. Sublime not out of it quite yet.
Yeah, Anhu getting that stick is just crazy good. I'm surprised Jimical didn't live through it. I thought the extra armor health from the rally would still let them survive, but I guess it must just be like a little bit too much manually. Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick. You want to start things out here? Get rid of the Ana. Angelic's going to be in a weird position as J-Man is going to go over towards the Hanzo now. Interesting little pick right now. Just going to try to shut down manually over on this Widowmaker. J-Man clearly doesn't seem super comfortable running the Widow themselves, so this is their kind of counterplay to it, which, you know, hey, more credit to them. Gotta give it to them. So, you know, Yikes going to be setting up for this next fight, as that's going to be a nice dive, trying to go after manually. They get super low, but the healing from the high ground, Proda in a nice comfortable position. Aurora going to drop. It's a tough scenario. I know you have to kind of try to push that Widowmaker, but with those supports still on the high ground, you have to deal with them first before you go with the Widow.
Yeah, definitely, and with the recent buff to Widow's Widow 76, as we just saw right there, that hip fire from Widow is very consistent now.
Yeah, definitely so. So now we've got Anhu, you know, has their pulse bomb back online. We have seen them hit a couple of really good ones throughout the series, especially that last one that they threw right onto Jimical. I imagine that might end up being their target once again as well, as the sights are already going to come out from manually, so it's going to be incredibly tough to try to set up a dive here on this point. For the time being, though, going to kind of wait it out. They don't really want to find anybody, you know, picked off here. You don't want to lose the opportunity to commit to another clean fight, because if you lose somebody here, you're going to be inching over into that final fight territory. So, yeah, honestly, just holding out. Taking a long time to push, though. With manually eventually going to get to 5. They're living, though, for the time being. And J-Man is actually going to be the first one to drop. Angelic eventually going to get battered over onto the side. Yikes. Another fight they managed to hold, and Sublime are coming up very close to final fight territory.
Yeah, this is a really strong hold for Yikes. I don't know how Anhu actually gets to this top right high ground to attempt to dislodge the supports and the Hanzo.
Ooh.
Nice stick from Slater.
Yeah, and there's good news and bad news with that. It does shut down the fight very quickly, so, you know, Sublime still has a full opportunity on this next fight to be able to set up, but God, that's just rubbing dirt into the wound, unfortunately. Oh, no. Okay, well, yeah, we're just have to commit right here and now. We see in the background right now, Aurora gonna commit to be able to get rid of the Widow of their own. But there's so much healing on them manually, they're just not letting them die. Nobody has died quite yet either, despite just sitting on the ground. SMGing away is gonna be the trade-off to start things out here, as the Nano ends up getting slept temporarily for the time being, as manually is going to have those sights ready to go. Aurora going to be the next one to fall. Yikes. Give themselves an extra life here, as they will secure the series. Bring it back here on map 5. They will move on to the losers finals. Unfortunately for Sublime, this is where their journey will end with a 4th place spot.
Oof, a valiant effort nonetheless, though. Sublime really came to play today. It ended up coming down to this dive comp, but man, Anhu was popping off on this Tracer this map, regardless of the loss.
Yeah. All the credit in the world to them, as we'll kind of look back at the journey that we've kind of had thus far throughout this entire day, like Yikes ended up starting out incredibly strong over on Antarctic Peninsula. This is where we really strong the strength of this team. But Sublime came back on Numbani and Sarabasa, proving that they had their own style, and that's when Yikes realized this is what they want to run. This is what they love. So when going to New Queen Street, they're able to shut that down. And then unfortunately heading over to Gibraltar, they just weren't able to make the magic happen. So that ends up coming away with that map 5 win for Yikes. So they will be able to move on, like we said, to those Losers Finals to go up against YSL. Sublime, though, that's going to be it for their season. But still, for a team that didn't make, the top 8 originally, this is a really, really good performance for them to make it to the 4th place spot.
Yeah, 4th place, nothing to sneeze at by any stretch of the imagination. And like we said, Yikes moving on to play YSL, and both of these teams trying to play the Bonzi Buddies in that grand finals matchup. So, I mean, from what we've seen so far, apparently everything's just going to go to map 5. So, yeah, definitely stick around and watch every single game that's left in this bracket.
Yeah, we're getting into the wire now. Like, most of the tournaments now at this point are just down to 3 teams now at this point. So we're going to have our losers finals and then eventually, of course, the grand finals. But that's not happening quite yet here today, but we are going to be having it happening soon. Obviously, we'll have stuff, ready to go soon. But for the time being, that is the end of our night here. But Shadowfang, before we head out of here, do you have any parting words for perhaps these 2 teams, or perhaps just the chaos of a night that we've had thus far?
Yikes again, pulling out Watchpoint Gibraltar the same way they did in the last game I casted for map 5. Great. They just seem to really know how to play that map incredibly well. Really impressed by it. Sublime did fantastic, though. No shame in finishing in 4th place in the open tier bracket at all. Great finish, great season. Yikes, best of luck to you against YSL.
Yep, definitely so. We're going to have to see what they're going to have in store for us when we eventually plan out that match. But like I said, that's going to be it for us here tonight. Of course, thank you to our man behind the prod, Hippie, who puts in a heck of a lot of work. And of course, make sure to come around tomorrow as well. Same time, same place, as we have a match happening over for a different tournament for NA, the Diamond Division. You don't want to miss that. It's another one that's going to be extremely close, a deep playoff match. So make sure you come around tomorrow. But for tonight, we hope you've had a good one. We'll catch you all next time.